the link has been shared with you all. Join it fast. Okay, so let's start with our lecture, ethics, integrity and aptitude. And before the lecture starts, as the year is ending, and see, you all are preparing for civil services examination, one of the most coveted, most prestigious, one of the so-called most difficult examination in the country. And especially if you look at the way it has been projected, most people, they try to build an aura around it as if it is an invincible examination. That is actually not true. Most of the people who are building this kind of aura are actually trying to make mint money out of it. That is quite evident. And you know what this exam is. This exam is a simple examination. Of course, not everyone is made for this examination. You may try for n number of attempts and then finally qualify. What I suggest is, this or many other opportunities in life are there, so you should not waste your precious years preparing for any of the examination, be it whatever may be the reason, whatever may be your motivation. Wasting your youth for any of particular examination, be it IIT, where actually there is not much of choice of wasting your years, because either you appear for your exam when you are in 12th, or one more attempt you can give now. So no point wasting. NEET, many people waste their years then because the age limit is not there. Then IAS examination, again, you should not waste lots of time on it. First of all, judge what all qualities are required. So we are building a test like civil services aptitude test. We will build our own test. This test will be able to tell you where you are right now as far as cracking civil services is concerned. So this test will give you a holistic understanding where you are as far as the main dimensions of preparation. Comprehension is required. You must know, because you have to read lots of notes, you have to understand it, you have to prepare your own notes, then you have to produce in the examination. For your generativity, comprehension ability, generativity, focus, then your consistency, the determination part, this all will be covered under our test. You will get a score of that. Then according to the score, you have to improve your performance. This will bring out. Then how to make things simple, we will conduct a workshop where, see what is happening now. I have seen the industry very closely, and that's why I am telling you, there is no need to create this kind of complexity. Things are simple. So we will give you the strategy to simplify the process. Simplify the process, build a strategy around it, then finally succeed. And what I suggest is, go for first number of attempt, that is number one attempt. After your graduation, while you are entering your graduation in the 12th class, most of the people who have science, they go for engineering or your medical. This they have decided. Humanities, they prefer to go for these kind of examinations, civil services. Some people make the decision late while they are in the job, while they are doing masters, they decide. But if you look at the overall gamut of the kind of civil servants India needs, civil servants which can make India of not only a $5 trillion economy, not only a country where the problems like unemployment, poverty, underprivileged section are catered. For that, it is important that young people join it. Without mincing any word, I am telling you, young people join it. Somebody who has decided it late, it's their choice, and it's not that they are not efficient, but to ensure that backbone of the country, backbone of the civil services remains strong, it is important that you decide and prepare during your graduation itself. Why people don't prepare during their graduation? Because it is made, the civil services is made complex. By whom? The coaching institutions, especially the offline one, especially, I'm telling you. So, during your graduation you have prepared for it, appear for the exam while you are in your final attempt. Those who are engineers, they should actually. The doctors who completed their MBBS, they can appear. Give it wholehearted, full one attempt. God forbid you don't clear the exam, go for the next attempt with the full force by analyzing your weaknesses, strength and weakness analysis, as you must do each and every day. Then you must go for your looking at alternative options. If you want to continue your journey of the civil services, you can, but don't waste your youthful years, your efficient years. So around that we'll build our strategies. We'll give you a full-fledged strategy so that people sitting at home, in the comfort of their home, in the comfort of their colleges, when they are the most energetic people, they are able to crack the examination. Because resources, you see, thanks to the online learning, thanks to the edtech platforms, most of the resources are freely available now. Look for the history, it's available. Geography, it is available. Polity, available. Everything is available. Free resources. The only thing which is lacking is the strategy. The only thing which is lacking is that this information has not reached to the masses, the people. So once it has not reached to the people, you see the result. You will see the result of the civil services. When final result is announced, coaching institutes may say that rank 1, 10, these are from our institutions. Although these are there, these people are there, but they qualified basically because of their own hard work. The direction was there, and that direction was also given by people who are mentors, the mentors who gave them the right direction. Okay, so that we have to infuse, that we have to bring it. But the students who are actually genuinely motivated, having the ability, crack the examination. And once you are motivated, you will be able to do it. So around that, the things will be built, and most people who are sitting at home, by just understanding the things, getting the resources, can get it done. The motivation part is required, mentorship is required, holding hands is required, giving them feedback is required. That, yes, of course, that is required. But largely, it is the hard work of the student, motivation of the student. Alright, so we'll move to our section of ethics, integrity, aptitude paper. And in this, we were doing the last chapter. We have done our analysis of ethical concept behind RTI, right to information. Now we'll do our ethical angle or ethical concept or ethical dimension built around what? Citizen charter. Now, citizen charter is a chapter mentioned in your syllabus. Citizen charter says that the interface between public service delivery provider and who is receiving the services, the citizens. So there has to be a contract between these two. This contract at the interface, contract. This contract, when codified, is called citizen charter. It's a concept taken from Western economies, from the Western philosophies, developed countries. Built around an economy which is largely capitalist, where the government is competing. Government is competing with whom? Government or your public service delivery providers, they are competing with the private sector. The competition is there. To ensure that the quality of service remains the highest, quality of service is par excellence, there is a contract. This contract between the public service delivery provider, that is the government, and one example of this is railways. The railways is giving services to whom? Railways in our country is primarily giving services to whom? To the citizens. If we talk about the passenger trains, the freight trains, who carry the freight, Malgadi, they are carrying the freight and they are serving not only the citizens but the business as well. They carry the goods and services from one place to other, helping the business run the country. Now, citizens and railways have an interface as passenger trains and various other services which are incidental to the running of the train. So, the railways come up with a citizen charter. Citizen charter, what it says, it outlines the standards. Two things, the standards and expectations of what? Of the railways towards the public. Okay, so the railways come up with a document in which, in the points, what they aspire to provide is mentioned. Like the kind of train, in the train, the kind of berth, the quality of the berth, the quality of the seats, those who are inspection in charge, TC, that all will be mentioned here. The kind of food they provide, along with the food they also provide many other things. Earlier, pre-COVID era, they used to provide you blankets, they used to provide you the sheets, that all, blankets. Somebody is asking for the salary. Come up with your job letter in a legal manner if you are employed ever. So I know that you are coaching institutes stooge, trying to demotivate us. So better idea is to stay away and let people study. Okay, already the cyber cell has gone your records, got all the records, so stay away. Alright, so we'll move to our classes. You see the stooges from different classes coming here for asking salary. Okay, so let's go and see our blankets, food, the train services, what kind of quality they are providing and what do they aspire to provide, the aspirations. The aspirations, that is, if they are taking, suppose to cover the 1000 kilometers they are taking 11 hours, but their aspiration document that says that rather than 11 hours now we'll cover this distance from 6 hours. Almost half of the time required. And how will that be possible? By improving the quality of the track, by providing single tracks which are running or which are used to run the special trains. To ensure that there are lesser number of stoppages, okay, so these kind of improvement are done. Along with the improvement, the aspirations, 5-year document, 10-year document, in the next 1 year what they are going to provide, everything is provided there. So two important aspects which I have mentioned here is the standards and expectations. Standards they are providing and the expectation they have. So apart from this, what all things they provide is the rights and responsibilities of whom? The citizens. Firstly, they are providing you the service, standards and expectations. What they are providing now and the expectation they have in the future. Apart from that, what they are providing? Rights and responsibilities. Rights and responsibilities of citizens. So citizens also have certain rights. What are the rights? That if you get a ticket for the train, you will be traveling. Nobody will remove you from your berth. You will be given a good quality berth. This berth is reserved for you. You will be given food. What will be the quality of food? Highest standard, which can be provided under that price. Apart from that, the sheets which they provide. Apart from that, the security. So if there is any breach, these are your rights. If there is any breach, in all this you can give the feedback. Now here is a catch. You can give the feedback, but can you file a legal case here? The answer is no. It is not a justiciable or legal document. So you cannot go to the court. One thing. Secondly, as I told you, apart from rights, there are responsibilities also. What are your responsibilities? Your responsibility is that you will not destroy the resources. It is your responsibility that you will not disrupt public order, you will not disrupt or disengage with the morality, Satish, focus on the studies. There is no need to engage with the fake accounts. Let them write whatever they are writing. It doesn't matter. Okay, so public order morality. Because this comes under what? Restriction to the fundamental right. So whatever restrictions the law of the land is having, that you have to follow. These are your responsibilities. Apart from that, the particular department, here it is the Department of Railway, may also expect you to abide by certain rules, like not carrying the inflammable goods, like not disturbing your fellow passengers. These expectations are from the Department of Railway. That also you must abide by. So firstly is the public service provider. They have their standards and expectations. This is your provider, and then there are citizens. Citizens have to abide by your responsibilities. What are the rights of the citizens? Rights are not legal, non-justiciable. Okay, so that you have to keep in mind, and this is one of the lacuna of the citizen charter, that you cannot go to the court and say that you had told us the best quality of food will be provided, but when I started eating, I found a cockroach. And you see, the problem here is that you are traveling by jet airways, which no more exists there. That's why I have taken the example. And they provide you a coffee. You were promised a hot coffee, but when it is given to you, it is cold. You report to your air hostess that I was given a cold coffee, whereas your menu mentions hot coffee. The difference between a public service provider and a private player like Jet Airways, Indigo, Air Asia, so many of them, is that they abide by your upholding the standard of excellence, because they are competing with other private players who are equally strong, who have the resources. If they don't serve you in the right manner, then what will happen? You will start flying from other services, you start using other air services. But the problem with public service provider is that they have the hegemony, they have the monopoly. What happens with the Indian Railways? They are the only service provider. So even if they don't follow their standards, what will happen? One, it is non-justiciable, you cannot go to the court. Two, there is no other player. If you cannot afford the air travel, and you don't want to travel by road, or you cannot afford any of these two, then the safest method to travel will be your train. And in the train, you have seen that the standards which were promised are not being abided by. What choice you have? Just you will give a feedback. The feedback is given, feedback form is there. You will fill the feedback form, leave it with the department, that is train, either with the TT or in a suggestion box. Now, who takes the responsibility of taking care of your complaints? Who is responsible? Nobody. But if you look at the ethical angle, that's why I say that the rules, laws, regulations, they are of no use if ethical leadership is not there. Look at the ethical leadership. Suppose there is someone who is commissioner of the railway safety. The commissioner of railway safety has told all the staff that whatever suggestions come, whatever discomfort the passengers are having, you must reveal all these to my office. I will do the surprise inspections. Surprise inspection I'll be doing. Secondly, I am open to all kinds of suggestions. My mail ID is there. They will give you the mail ID. They will give the WhatsApp number as well. The best method actually. WhatsApp number. You just save this number and send the message. The message reaches to the commissioner, who is actually the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, as far as these concerns are there. Now, this person being an ethical leader, will do the objective inquiry. Why I am saying objective inquiry? Because you cannot just go with the assumption that my staff would have done wrong. If you do so, the moral of the staff will go down or not. So you have to take care of both the things. The moral of your department should not your team, because that is your team, that is your family. You cannot just leave them. You have to take care of them. Secondly, citizens, those who have made the complaint, they are your client. You see, when I say client, what does it mean? You are a service provider. You cannot just skip your duties. So you have to play the role of both keeping your team upbeat, encouraging them whenever they do well, punishing them, or according to the rule book, or sensitizing them. Better idea is sensitizing them. Sensitize them. Firstly, sensitize them, and wherever required, punish also. Punishment is very important as far as public services are concerned, especially in the organizations which are there in India. And you have to treat the citizens as client, because I told you that public services bureaucracy has traveled a long path. It's no more like earlier times when they were called MyBab. Public service providers were called MyBab. Now the public service providers are treated as any other service provider competing with the private players. Okay, so these two things need to be taken care of. Now, why citizen charter came? Citizen charter basically came because there were complaints. You must have seen many a time. Now what happens, because of the advent of social media, people just put it on the YouTube, people just put it on the Instagram, they make it live, Facebook live, Instagram live, or YouTube live also they can do. They tweet. If you remember, earlier we had our railway minister Suresh Prabhu. Suresh Prabhu was known to react, not react actually, respond preemptively. Respond to the tweets of passengers. Now, passengers were traveling late at night. A mother traveling with her child, feeling unsafe, tweets at 2 a.m. The railway minister responds in the nick of time, immediately sends the message to the security commissioner. The security people, security in charge, they respond to the Railway Protection Force, RPF, and the RPF people reach there immediately. Ask this mother her concern, immediately makes necessary detention and arrest required to ensure safety. Fine. Now you have to look at one thing. Here the law was not important. Law did not make any importance. The regulations did not make any importance. The arrangements, the infrastructure, nothing made any change. What was the change? As I told you earlier, ethical leadership. Leadership given by the top minister. And this is what happens in the public services. When you go to the public service, you have to remember. That is why ethical angle is being taught to the budding civil servants, that when they reach to the hem of the affairs, then they provide the Ethical leadership. Here what was happening? Empathy, compassion actually. Empathy. Towards the need of a mother who is feeling unsafe. What was Citizen Charter brought to? Citizen Charter was brought to ensure that all these things are codified. When we say the highest standards of food, highest standards of security, highest standards of birth, all these things should be ensured. And if it is not ensured, then citizens have the freedom to report. Because it was one of the cases the minister would or would not have reacted then. If you won't have responded then, to make these arrangements, a document was brought. Now you see the ethical angle involved here. What are the ethical angle involved? Ethical dimensions. Firstly, it brings the transparency. What service standards we are going to provide? Everything is in the open, visible to everyone. Then what? Apart from the transparency itself comes what? Since it is transparent, you have to be responsible and responsive. Since you are showing responsiveness and responsibility, then comes accountability. Then the most important quality is professionalism. Which is being reflected here. Professionalism which is lacking in most of the public service delivery organizations. You go to the earlier times, now things have improved. You go to any of the police station. Firstly, they'll make you sit for long. Then they'll give you 100,000 of excuses and why your report cannot be registered here. Then they will give you another chance to leave the police station, because once you lodge an FIR, first information report, with substantial evidence, then the police will be bound to take action. Otherwise, the superiors will give an adverse report. Now, what has happened? Now things have changed because of the leadership provided. That's why we say it is the backbone of the civil service. Civil services are the backbone of the development of the country. So many of the civil servants, they improve the situation. What they brought now? Transparency. What they brought? No, professionalism. When you go and visit, like if you go to in Delhi, there is a thana called Mandir Marg. If you go to this police station, you will have a feel as if you have entered a 5-star hotel. They have maintained it in such a beautiful manner. At the reception only, they will greet you, they will ask you what is your concern. They will write down all the concerns. See the severity of the matter. Be empathetic towards you. They will listen to you very, very carefully. Take a prompt action there itself. What has changed? Professionalism. And you know why professionalism has changed? Why there has been upgradation of the professionalism, and why at all the element of professionalism brought here? Because of the kind of people who have entered Indian police service. They have brought these standards here, many of them coming from Harvard, many of them coming from IITs, IIMs, they brought the standards of excellence from these institutions, from many of the business organizations where they belong to, into the services. Ethical angle, all which I have mentioned here: transparency, responsiveness and responsibility, accountability, and professionalism. Out of all these, professionalism is of the utmost importance when citizen charter comes to your mind. Now we'll see that what positives it has brought, citizen charter, the positives, merits or advantages. CC. What is CC? Citizen charter. One, it has been able to ensure that there is a mutual trust between the public service delivery provider and the citizens. Mutual trust. How it is built? I'll simplify it for you. Have you seen the marriage ceremony? All of you must have seen. What do they ask for? Sat Vachan, 7 promises under the Hindu Marriage Act. Why these promises are done? Although without promises also the marriage ceremony would have been complete. And it is not that the promises are not met. Suppose the promise is that I'll ensure that come what may you remain happy. No, there may be days when the couples fight. What will happen on these days? Can you go to the court and say I was not happy on the particular day and that's why I am asking for a divorce? Is it possible? The answer is no. What happened through these 7 promises? Mutual trust. The trust building approach. That yes, I promise that you will be happy. What else? Because of the citizen charter, citizens felt empowered. Empowerment of whom? Citizens. How? Because earlier, as I told you, there was my Bap culture. What does my Bap culture mean? Colonial hangover. That if the government is providing me anything, probably they are doing a favor towards me. I am not entitled to anything. Citizens are not entitled to anything. But now they feel empowered that yes, I am entitled to the quality of services which you have promised. And you know, generally how citizen charter is made? After taking lots of feedback. Like suppose designing a course for IAS itself. Should it be designed in air, or should there be the design should be after taking the feedback from the aspirants, after taking the feedback from the toppers? Yes, after taking the feedback from the toppers and the aspirants, your course is par excellence. Likewise, here also, before framing the citizen charter, lots of consultation is done. So there is participation of citizens. Participation. And those of you who belong to the political science or public administration optional, you'll realize that participatory government is a reformatory government as a part of the good governance. Good governance, I have told you, simple, moral, accountable, responsive and transparent. These are the part of good governance, ethical governance, and it ensures participatory governance. So participation is ensured through citizen charter also. So as there can be a question, this question I have done for you. RTI as a tool of good governance. Likewise, citizen charter CC is a tool of good governance, or EG, ethical governance. Discuss. Either it is citizen charter or RTI. The principles remain same. Smart governance, good governance principles, GG or EG. Whenever good governance or ethical governance question comes, you have to use these terms only. Is citizen charter simplifying the process of governance? The answer is yes. How? Because once we have a document of promise, the government or the department or the ministry is promising certain standards of excellence, giving you the rights, ensuring you that it will be delivered. Is it simplifying the process of governance where it is very complex? The answer is yes. Moral, of course, the whole idea of citizen charter is revolving around moral, ethical leadership. Because what was the need of promising any standards of excellence on the part of the government departments, on the part of the ministries, on the part of the public service delivery provider? There was no need at all. But government, the department, the ministry came open. Came out and delivered, came out and promised certain set of standards of excellence that they will be able to provide. So is it moral, value laden leadership or not? The answer is yes. Accountable, yes, of course. After making the document open, you are accountable to it. You say that these standards will be provided, otherwise you catch me. Although it is not legal and justiciable. That is the part of the lacuna which we can put as a reform also. What should be the reform? It should be made firstly objective, codified. There should be large scale consultation. There should be a stock taking. There should be an objective analysis of whether or not you can provide this. These are the part of the reform. But still, accountability increases. Yes, the accountability increases in case of no promises in the marriage and some promises done in the marriage. Which one is more accountable? The marriage with the promises, because then you can always ask, this was the thing promised to me. Then responsiveness and responsibility. Yes, of course, if you have a document to show, you will be responsive and responsible. Then transparency, of course. So if you keep this in mind, simple, moral, accountable, responsive and transparent, any question related to good governance or ethical governance can be easily solved by giving certain examples, by just explaining it, discussing it. Clear? Like RTI, citizen charter can also be, is actually a tool of good governance, is a tool of ethical governance. Fine? This question we have discussed. Now we were doing the good values brought. One was your mutual trust, which was built because of the Satvachan approach. Secondly, your empowerment, citizens felt empowered. Then participation increases. Of course, it does increase because citizens feel as part of the system. They can give the feedback. They can ask the question to the government, why do you not provide this? Then your involvement of citizen charter ensures that there is reduction of one important thing called corruption. Reduces corruption. And because of the reduction of corruption, what will happen? Improvement in the probity. Improves probity. That also you can write as a separate point or the same point. Probity, which was based on two principles. Probity का मैंने दो क्या बताया था? One was your accountability. Second was your transparency. They both increase. In the case of citizen charter, accountability and transparency both increase. Fine. So these 5 virtues are brought by your citizen charter. One is your mutual trust. Second is empowerment, then participation, reduces the corruption, and then improves probity. Reducing corruption, improving probity can be point 1 only, or that can be written in 2 different points. Okay, but what are the lacunas? What are the demerits of the citizen charter? Demerits. What are the demerits here? First and foremost, I told you that this is not legally binding. It's not legally binding. It is like DPSP and fundamental duties. You cannot say to the government, you cannot go to the court and say government did not follow this directive principles of state policy. You cannot go, or the government cannot go to the court against you and say that you did not follow the fundamental duties. Likewise, it is not legally binding. The biggest lacuna it has. You cannot go to the court, you cannot report it anywhere. It is only on the humanitarian ground, on the ethical ground, on the moral values, on the ethical leadership, empathy, tolerance, and compassion towards the vulnerable sections, and treating the citizens as clients based on the capitalist value, based on the idea that we are an open economy now, we have to serve the citizens like client, unlike the colonial hangover where it was only as a my bab culture, only as a paternalistic approach. We have to take care of the citizens, the burden of the citizens. But the Britishers used to say the white man's burden. Britishers were so corrupt, unethical in their approach that they colonized almost half of the globe, and they said that this is our burden to ensure that civilization grows in these countries. So this unethical approach, immoral approach had to be done away. That is why it was brought. As far as legal aspect is concerned, legally binding, no. Morally binding, yes. Now, second lacuna is that how many of you were aware about citizen charter before you started preparing for the ethics paper of your civil services examination? The awareness is very, very less. The awareness regarding citizen charter is very less. Is very less. Not many people are aware. I think 1 or 2% of the people are aware about this. If in the trains like Shatabdi, Rajdhani, or now these Tejas and all, an ex-civil servant or a lawyer or a person who is known about these facts, who is a human rights activist, or somebody who is anyway aware, like you must have seen this movie Drishyam. The person, the protagonist, is just a cable service provider but has immense knowledge of the rights, the legal framework, and lots of common sense. As I tell you, the common sense is the framework, the hallmark of civil services, competition, and success. So, awareness regarding this citizen charter is very, very less. This is the biggest lacuna. Then comes your another demerit or lacuna. The citizen charter is not getting updated. Like the notes of the many of the institutes, many of the teachers who are teaching particular optionals, they are not updating the notes. CC is not updated. Then what? The consultation. Ideally, what should have happened? Before framing the citizen charter, there should have been widespread consultation, not with the citizens alone, but with your department people also, that whether you will be able to provide this quality or not. The standard of excellence which we are promising from our approach, will you be able to provide? That widespread consultation is missing. Widespread and you see, since the consultation is not done, neither the department nor the people, that is the citizens, feel that it is an important document. if there would have been widespread consultation before taking the decision from the citizens, from the department people, it would have made a fruitful journey. Now, apart from that, if suppose if your department people, if railways are not able to provide good quality food, what will happen? Is this a part of the performance appraisal? No. Inability to provide a particular standard of service is not factored in PA. And what is PA? Performance appraisal. See, if we are trying to match the ethical, moral, values of business, should we not bring in their practices also? Yes, but the practices done in the private sector and the business setup is private sector businesses. Their performance appraisal is largely based on the objective standards. They will give you a target. Have you sold 100 of the products? Your performance appraisal will be better. Have you been able to meet the customer satisfaction standards we have promised in our document? Then your performance appraisal will be positive. But what happens in the government departments is that the seniors have lots of DA. What is DA? Discretionary advantage. They can take a call on their own whether to promote you or not. So, if you have been able to make your senior happy, suppose you are a probationary IPS, you are placed under a senior IPS. And you have been able to serve him or her in personal capacities. Like they say, today I am not free. Can you please take care of my kids? Bring them home. Ensure that they travel to certain places to enjoy their holiday. Can you book a hotel for me and my wife? All these things you have done. So you have been able to satisfy the ego actually of your senior. That is why your performance appraisal will be better. You see the particular typical Indian mentality. Have you seen the colleges? What happens? The PhD people. Why our PhD aspirants are not so enthusiastic? Why do people don't opt for PhD? These are under a professor. This professor knows that these people who are coming for PhD are those who have not got any job to do in the world. This is what their perception is. So they will say, आज मेरे घर में सिलेंडर ले आना, आज मेरे बच्चे को स्कूल छोड़ देना, my car is not functioning, so please call the mechanic. These kind of things. So you see, the similar approach is there in the government departments as well. Government में भी यही हो रहा है. Unless you ensure that apart from the ethical moral values of the private sector and business setup, the practices are also taken from the business setup, you cannot match the efficiency of the private sector. As I told you, if you report about the Indigo Airlines that they are not providing you good food, I remember one of the tweet. Now those tweets have become very important. One of the tweet done by a passenger that I lost my bag. I could not locate it on the exit gate. There was immediate response from the Indigo Airlines. They solved it. They ensured that the bag reached to their home safely with all the goods intact. Can government also meet the same standards? Yes, it can. The thing is that we are lacking the will. As I told you, the ARC2 report number 4, ethics in governance. What they say? They say that to ensure that the ethical conduct is followed in an efficient manner, you have to codify the ethics. Codify. Firstly, there should be objective codification of ethics. Then, once you have codified the ethics, make the head's role. That is, accountability should be fixed. Fix accountability. If there are riots in a district, remove the SP and DSP concerned. If there are riots in the district or public services disruption, if the district magistrate and DC are the responsible person to ensure that public order and morality is there in the place, the constitution is not breached, the laws, rules, regulations all are followed in a constitutional manner, then make the DC or the SP responsible for it, remove them, dismiss them, suspend them immediately. Make the heads roll. Once you make the heads roll, you will be ensuring that there is fixed accountability. And these should be done on objective criterion. Objective criteria, codification of ethics. The same things hold true here also. Once you codify it after widespread consultation and you spread the awareness, you see, we'll see the reform. Now we'll come to the reform part. Reforms required for making CC, Citizen Charter, better. What reforms? The lacuna you have seen. What was the negatives or demerits? It is not legally binding. This is the demerit, right? How it can be reformed? Make it legally binding. First reform. From the lacuna only the reform will come. That is why I tell you that you need not remember so many points. If you remember the lacuna, see, if you remember the merits, from there the demerits come. If you remember the demerits, the reforms come from there. You just need to ensure that the ethical angle should not be missed out as far as this ethics, integrity, aptitude part is concerned. Firstly, legally binding, make it legally binding. Then awareness is not there, so make widespread awareness. How? Publicize it. Publicize the document as much as possible. And now there is social media, now there is your e-governance. Now the ministries and departments have their websites and there are apps for them. Just make them download the app, through which they can give you the suggestions also. You see, the feedback loop will also be improved. You have the app, you can get the feedback and you can improve your governance. What else was there? Firstly, we'll take this, fourth number, consultation. Consultation is missing, so make the consultation necessary part of your documentation. Before making the document of citizen charter, make widespread consultation. With whom? With your department people, with the citizens, both of them. Citizen charter is not updated. Update it. And you know, there is one way to make sure that all these things happen. And what is that one way? Way out, reform. Firstly, make it a legal document. Make it legal and justiciable. Make it legal firstly and then justiciable. What does the justiciable mean? You go to the court will solve it. There may be disputes, sometimes intended, sometimes unintended. The court will solve it. Court has the power to do so. Then, what was the second part? It's not publicized, so publicize it. Consultation is missing, so do the consultation. Do widespread consultation. What else? As we have talked about, this is not the part of the performance appraisal. So make it part of PA, performance appraisal. These are the main points. From the demerits comes your reforms. But if you ask me, can I simplify it further? The answer is yes. How can we simplify it? Just do two things. After, just follow a process. Firstly, take the feedback. These are the citizens. Send people to the field. What is the field here? In case of the railways, the railway employees go and interact with the customers. The TT interacts with the customer on a regular basis. Apart from the TT, one more person to take the feedback should be there. Not in front of the TTE. Once the TTE goes, just in an informal manner, in a very friendly manner, who befriends the citizens and then asks the input. Take the input taken, and this input should not be based on your random input taken here and there, but so many of them collected, classified, codified. Input taken objectively, classified and codified. Once you have codified it, these are the concerns. Address the concern after Widespread consultation with whom? With your department people. Consult with your department. You have consulted the department, codified it, consulted the department. The department agrees that these are the things which we can meet. To meet the highest standards, we'll need more staff, more revenue and all. Supply them all these resources. Supply the resources. This is your duty as a leader. Supply the resources, supply all these loopholes, cover all the loopholes. After covering the loopholes, then you go for finalizing the fine print. These are the things which will provide. Now, after you have done it, made the citizen charter, publicize it. Publicize. What is the best way to publicize? You have an app. Make people download it. Ask them for the feedbacks so that it can be updated also. Once you have publicized it, keep taking the feedback. Feedback should be taken. And once you have taken the feedbacks on a regular basis, updating will be done. You will keep on updating it. You have a dynamic document, not a static one, a dynamic document. Okay, so the dynamic document there. Now what? If somebody is not following the fine print, the objective criteria which has been set, then make the heads roll. What I am saying is make the heads roll. How can you make the heads roll? Make it part of the PA, that is performance appraisal. Okay, so how to do it? The criteria is there. You have supplied it to all the employees of the concerned department. Then you tick whether they have been able to meet this or not. If not, write adverse remarks in their performance appraisal. Adverse remarks. What will happen? Next time they will be careful. This is the first thing. And not only the adverse remarks, the salary deduction. Deduct the salary for their misdeeds. If they have not been able to meet the standards of excellence, deduct the salary. Deduct the perks. Then do the sensitization. Sensitization, that is very important, because they also know this is not a justiciable document. They don't behave in the right manner. Once you sensitize them, see, we are a public servant, we are supposed to provide this highest quality of highest standards of services. If we are failing in it, it is our moral ethical duty. If we are failing in it, then we are not doing the justice to our own job. Once you are not doing the justice to your own job, what will happen? You will feel guilty. So prick their conscience. Prick the conscience. Once you have pricked somebody's conscience, they will realize that because of my inability to fulfill the duty, I am having dissonance. These are all the principles which we have already studied in your optional psychology. Those who have psychology optional, they must have studied. Those who don't have, even then they would have known about these terms thanks to the free coaching material provided in the market, as I was talking about. Once you have been able to prick the conscience of the people, then you will realize what? That they become duty bound. You are working it on two steps, in two ways. See, you have I told you that if you have to change the attitude, there is one part. This is called think. Then there is feel. Then there is act. You are attacking on think part. You are attacking on feel part. And the act part is adverse remark in the performance appraisal, dismissal, suspension, reduction of salary. This is act part. Make them feel bad about themselves in an objective manner. And let me tell you one thing, while you are doing all these things, you have to keep one thing in mind. Don't dress down anyone in public. If you have to scold somebody, call in private. Scolding people in the public is not at all an ethical way. People have lost all the moral values with which they were born. They have forgotten. That there is something called humanitarian value. So use all carrot and stick approach. Use your moral, ethical schooling, that's also important. Sensitizing people, sensitize them regularly. And what all is required to do that? Ethical leadership. The leader will take call of all these. Because as I told you, the largely the masses, largely your employees, largely your people at large, citizens and all, they won't follow your diktats. They have not understood the meaning of the ethical conduct. So who will have to take the call? Who will have to bell the cat? The ethical leader. It covers your citizen charter, that too elaborately. Some disturbances caused by a few of the what I generally call stooge from other coaching institutions. As you people are students, I was not sharing it, but there are certain institutions who are facing issues, and because of that they are unnecessarily wasting their time, as I tell them. They're wasting their time, because here we are doing something wonderful for the students, and they should also understand by taking some 100 rupees from the institutions, they'll be doing it. That won't fetch anything. We will keep doing our work. Okay, thank you very much for joining. We'll meet you soon in your next class. All right, have a very good day.